Africa, a continent pulsating with life, color, and rhythm. From the bustling markets filled with vibrant colors and the rhythmic beats of traditional drums to the lively streets of its cities, Africa is a place where the past and present coexist in a beautiful symphony. The markets are not just places of commerce but are also social hubs where stories are exchanged and traditions are passed down through generations. The drumming performances are more than just entertainment, they are a form of communication, a way to tell stories, celebrate events, and connect with the spiritual world. The streets of African cities, with their unique blend of modernity and tradition, reflect the dynamic and evolving nature of the continent, a land of ancient civilizations, breathtaking landscapes, and enduring spirit. The ancient ruins of Great Zimbabwe stand as a testament to the architectural ingenuity and the rich history of the Shona people. These ruins, with their massive stone walls and intricate designs, tell a story of a powerful kingdom that once thrived in the heart of Africa. Victoria Falls, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, showcases the continent's natural beauty and the awe-inspiring power of nature. The Maasai warriors, with their vibrant attire and traditional dances, embody the enduring spirit and cultural heritage of Africa. Their dances are not just performances but are deeply rooted in their way of life, symbolizing various aspects of their culture, from warriorhood to community celebrations. From the snow-capped peaks of Kilimanjaro to the vast Sahara Desert, Africa's beauty captivates the imagination. Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest peak in Africa, stands majestically with its snow-capped summit, offering a stark contrast to the surrounding savannas and forests. It is a symbol of the continent's diverse landscapes and the challenges and triumphs of those who dare to climb it. The Sahara Desert, with its endless dunes and harsh environment, is a testament to the resilience of life in even the most extreme conditions. The sunsets over the African savanna, with their brilliant hues of orange and red, are a daily reminder of the natural beauty that abounds in this land. These landscapes are not just picturesque scenes but are home to diverse ecosystems and cultures that have adapted to thrive in their unique environments. Its history, rich and complex, stretches back to the dawn of humanity, revealing a narrative of resilience, innovation, and profound cultural heritage. The ancient rock art found in caves across the continent provides a glimpse into the lives of early humans, their beliefs, and their interactions with the world around them. These artworks are some of the earliest forms of human expression and creativity, showcasing the deep connection between the people and their environment. Historical artifacts displayed in African museums tell stories of ancient civilizations, trade routes, and cultural exchanges that have shaped the continent's history. Traditional African villages, with their unique architectural styles and communal living, reflect the social structures and cultural practices that have been passed down through generations. These villages are not just places of residence, but are also centers of cultural preservation and community life. This is the story of Africa's journey, a tale woven through centuries of triumph and adversity. The reenactments of ancient African empires, such as the Mali and Songhai empires, bring to life the grandeur and achievements of these powerful kingdoms. These empires were centers of learning, trade, and culture, with cities like Timbuktu becoming renowned for their libraries and universities. The historical timeline animations provide a visual representation of the key events and milestones that have shaped Africa's history, from the rise and fall of empires to the impact of colonization and the struggle for independence. Elders sharing stories around a fire is a timeless tradition that highlights the importance of oral history in preserving the knowledge and wisdom of the past. These stories are not just tales of the past, but are also lessons for the future, teaching values, morals, and the importance of community. It is a story often untold or misrepresented, shrouded in misconceptions and overshadowed by narratives that fail to capture its true essence. African history books on a shelf represent the wealth of knowledge and research that has been dedicated to uncovering and understanding the continent's past. However, much of this history has been overlooked or distorted by external perspectives that do not fully appreciate the complexity and richness of African cultures. Archival footage of African leaders, such as Nelson Mandela and Kwame Nkrumah, showcases the resilience and determination of those who fought for their people's freedom and dignity. These leaders are symbols of hope and inspiration, embodying the spirit of resistance and the quest for justice. The montage of African cultural symbols, from traditional masks to modern art, reflects the diversity and creativity that define the continent's cultural heritage. This journey takes us from the rise and fall of empires to the struggle for independence, highlighting the resilience and determination of African people. The ruins of ancient African kingdoms, such as the Kingdom of Kush and the Kingdom of Aksum, are reminders of the continent's rich and diverse history. These kingdoms were centers of power, culture and trade, with their influence extending far beyond their borders. Archival footage of African independence movements captures the fervor and passion of those who fought for their country's freedom from colonial rule. These movements were driven by a desire for self-determination and the right to shape their own destinies. The historical reenactments of African empires bring to life the achievements and challenges faced by these powerful entities, showcasing their contributions to the world's history and culture, from economic prosperity to the scars of exploitation. The archival footage of colonial exploitation reveals the harsh realities and injustices faced by African people under colonial rule. This period of history left deep scars on the continent, affecting its social, economic, and political structures. However, the contemporary African city skyline represents the resilience and progress of African nations as they rebuild and develop their economies. These cities are hubs of innovation, culture, and commerce, reflecting the potential and aspirations of the continent. The community rebuilding efforts highlight the strength and determination of African people to overcome challenges and create a better future for themselves and their communities. These efforts are driven by a sense of solidarity and a commitment to preserving their cultural heritage while embracing modernity. Join us as we embark on a captivating exploration of Africa's past, present, and future. The montage of African historical landmarks, such as the Pyramids of Giza and the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela, showcases the architectural and cultural achievements of the continent. These landmarks are not just tourist attractions, but are also symbols of Africa's rich history and heritage. People celebrating African heritage through festivals, music, and dance highlight the vibrant and diverse cultures that make up the continent. These celebrations are expressions of identity, pride, and unity, bringing communities together and preserving traditions for future generations. Modern African innovations, from technological advancements to creative industries, reflect the continent's potential and its contributions to the global community. These innovations are driven by a spirit of creativity, resilience, and a desire to address the unique challenges faced by African societies. Let us delve into the heart of a continent brimming with potential, a land where the echoes of ancient wisdom mingle with the aspirations of a new generation. Children learning in an African classroom represent the hope and promise of the future. Education is a powerful tool for empowerment and development, and these children are the future leaders, innovators, and changemakers of the continent. Traditional African dance performed to modern music symbolizes the blending of old and new, a fusion of cultural heritage and contemporary influences. This fusion reflects the dynamic and evolving nature of African cultures, which are constantly adapting and reinventing themselves. The panoramic view of African landscapes with modern infrastructure showcases the progress and development taking place across the continent. These landscapes are a testament to the resilience and determination of African people to build a better future while honoring their past. Join us on this journey to explore the rich tapestry of Africa's history, culture, and potential, and discover the true essence of this remarkable continent. Africa's story is often painted with broad strokes, reducing its vibrant tapestry to simplistic narratives. This oversimplification does a great disservice to the continent, as it fails to capture the rich and multifaceted nature of African societies. The continent is often viewed through a lens that highlights only its struggles, ignoring the incredible diversity and resilience that define its people. This narrative is not only incomplete but also misleading, as it perpetuates stereotypes and misconceptions that have long been debunked by scholars, historians, and the people of Africa themselves. It is portrayed as a continent defined by poverty, conflict, and underdevelopment. These images are pervasive in media and popular culture, shaping the perceptions of those who have never set foot on African soil. However, this portrayal is a narrow and incomplete picture of a continent that is home to over 1 billion people, each with their own stories, dreams, and aspirations. The reality is that Africa is a land of contrasts, where modernity and tradition coexist in a dynamic and ever-evolving landscape. While these challenges are undeniable realities in parts of Africa, they do not represent the totality of its experience. The continent is also a place of innovation, growth, and progress. From bustling urban centers to serene rural landscapes, Africa is a continent on the move. Development projects are transforming cities and towns, bringing new opportunities and improving the quality of life for millions. Families are thriving, communities are coming together, and the spirit of resilience is palpable in every corner of the continent.
To truly understand Africa, we must move beyond these narrow perceptions. We must look deeper, beyond the headlines and the stereotypes, to see the real Africa. This means engaging with the continent on its own terms, listening to the voices of its people, and appreciating the complexity and diversity that define it. Africa is not a single story, but a tapestry of countless narratives, each contributing to the rich mosaic of its identity. By challenging our preconceived notions, we can begin to see Africa in a new light, one that is more accurate, nuanced, and respectful. We must challenge the stereotypes and delve into the nuances of its history, which is as rich and varied as any other continent. African history is not a monolithic narrative, but a collection of diverse stories that span millennia. From the ancient civilizations of Egypt and Nubia to the powerful kingdoms of West Africa, the continent has a long and storied past that is often overlooked in mainstream narratives. By exploring this history, we can gain a deeper understanding of the forces that have shaped Africa and its people, the diversity of its cultures, and the resilience of its people. African cultures are incredibly diverse, with each ethnic group bringing its own unique traditions, languages, and customs to the table. This cultural richness is evident in the continent's music, dance, art, and literature, which are celebrated around the world for their vibrancy and creativity. The resilience of the African people is also a defining characteristic, as they have faced and overcome countless challenges throughout history. This resilience is a testament to their strength, determination, and unwavering spirit. Africa is not a monolith, but a mosaic of over 50 countries, each with its unique history, language, and cultural heritage. This diversity is one of the continent's greatest strengths, as it fosters a rich tapestry of experiences and perspectives. From the bustling markets of Lagos to the serene landscapes of the Serengeti, Africa is a continent of contrasts and contradictions. Its people speak thousands of languages, practice a wide range of religions, and celebrate a multitude of cultural traditions. This diversity is a source of pride and strength, as it reflects the continent's ability to adapt and thrive in the face of change. From the ancient kingdoms of Egypt and Ethiopia to the empires of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, Africa boasts a legacy of intellectual, artistic, and political achievements that have shaped the course of human history. These civilizations were centers of learning, culture, and trade, and their influence can still be felt today. The ancient Egyptians, for example, made significant contributions to mathematics, astronomy, and medicine, while the kingdoms of West Africa were known for their wealth, scholarship, and artistic achievements. By exploring these histories, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the continent's contributions to global civilization. Africa boasts a legacy of intellectual, artistic, and political achievements that have shaped the course of human history. The continent's scholars, artists, and leaders have made significant contributions to the world, from the development of written languages to the creation of stunning works of art. African political leaders have also played a crucial role in shaping the course of history, from the fight for independence to the ongoing struggle for social justice and equality. By recognizing and celebrating these achievements, we can challenge the stereotypes and misconceptions that have long plagued the continent. Its contributions to mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and art are undeniable, yet often overlooked. African mathematicians have made significant advances in the field, from the development of complex number systems to the creation of innovative mathematical models. African astronomers have also made important contributions to our understanding of the universe, using traditional knowledge and modern technology to explore the stars. Traditional African healers have long been recognized for their expertise in medicine, using natural remedies and holistic practices to treat a wide range of ailments. African artists, meanwhile, have created some of the most stunning and innovative works of art in the world, drawing on a rich cultural heritage to produce pieces that are both beautiful and meaningful. By acknowledging and celebrating these contributions, we can begin to see Africa in a new light, one that is more accurate, nuanced, and respectful.
Africa's story is not a separate chapter in the annals of human history. It is intricately interwoven with the global narrative. From the earliest days of human civilization, Africa has played a pivotal role in shaping the course of history. The continent's rich and diverse cultures, its vast and varied landscapes, and its strategic geographical position have all contributed to its significant influence on the world stage. Africa is often referred to as the cradle of humankind, and for good reason. The earliest evidence of human life has been found on this continent, with fossils dating back millions of years. These early humans, our ancestors, began their journey of survival and adaptation in Africa, developing tools, mastering fire, and eventually spreading out to populate the rest of the world. This migration and the subsequent interactions between different human groups laid the foundation for the complex web of cultures and civilizations that would emerge over millennia. From the very beginning, Africa has been a crossroads of cultures, a meeting point for civilizations. The continent's diverse environments, from the lush rainforests of the Congo Basin to the arid expanses of the Sahara Desert, have fostered a wide range of human societies, each with its own unique traditions and ways of life. These societies did not exist in isolation. They interacted with one another, exchanging ideas, goods, and technologies. This cultural exchange was facilitated by Africa's extensive network of trade routes, which connected different regions of the continent and linked Africa to the wider world. The ancient kingdoms and empires of Africa, such as Egypt, Nubia, and Carthage, were centers of learning, innovation, and cultural development. These civilizations made significant contributions to fields such as mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and architecture. The Great Pyramids of Giza, the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela, and the ancient city of Timbuktu are just a few examples of Africa's rich architectural heritage. These structures not only demonstrate the advanced engineering skills of their builders, but also serve as symbols of the continent's enduring legacy. Its geographical location, strategically positioned at the crossroads of ancient trade routes, facilitated the exchange of ideas, goods, and people, shaping its destiny and influencing the world. The Nile River, for example, served as a vital artery for trade and communication, linking the Mediterranean world with the interior of Africa. The river's fertile banks supported the growth of powerful civilizations, such as ancient Egypt, which became a hub of commerce and culture. The Sahara Desert, often perceived as a barrier, was in fact a conduit for trade and interaction. The trans-Saharan trade routes connected the Mediterranean coast to the sub-Saharan regions, enabling the exchange of goods such as gold, salt, and ivory. These trade routes also facilitated the spread of ideas, technologies, and religious beliefs, contributing to the cultural and intellectual dynamism of the continent.
The trans-Saharan trade routes, for instance, connected the North African coast to the heart of the continent, fostering economic prosperity and cultural diffusion. Caravans of camels, often referred to as the ships of the desert, traversed these vast distances, carrying goods and ideas across the arid landscape. The trade in gold, in particular, played a crucial role in the development of powerful West African empires such as Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. These empires amassed great wealth and influence, becoming centers of learning and culture. The city of Timbuktu, located on the southern edge of the Sahara, became a renowned center of Islamic scholarship and trade. Scholars from across the Muslim world traveled to Timbuktu to study at its famous universities and libraries, which housed thousands of manuscripts on subjects ranging from theology to science. The city's vibrant intellectual and cultural life was a testament to the dynamic exchange of ideas that characterized the trans-Saharan trade. Gold, salt, ivory, and enslaved people were traded across vast distances, linking empires and kingdoms, spreading knowledge and influencing artistic traditions. The wealth generated by this trade supported the growth of powerful states and facilitated the development of sophisticated artistic and cultural traditions. The intricate gold jewelry of the Akan people, the elaborate ivory carvings of the Benin Kingdom, and the vibrant textiles of the Yoruba are just a few examples of the rich artistic heritage that emerged from these interactions. However, the trade in enslaved people also had devastating consequences for African societies. The trans-Saharan slave trade, and later the transatlantic slave trade, resulted in the forced displacement of millions of Africans, tearing apart communities and causing immense suffering. The legacy of this brutal trade continues to shape the social and economic landscape of the continent to this day. The Indian Ocean trade, similarly, connected East Africa to the Arabian Peninsula, India and beyond, creating a vibrant network of exchange that brought prosperity and cultural dynamism to the region. The monsoon winds facilitated the movement of dhows, traditional sailing vessels across the Indian Ocean, enabling the exchange of goods such as spices, textiles, and precious stones. The coastal cities of East Africa, such as Kilwa, Mombasa, and Zanzibar, became bustling trade hubs, attracting merchants from across the Indian Ocean world. These interactions led to the emergence of the Swahili culture, a unique blend of African, Arab, Persian, and Indian influences. The Swahili language, which developed as a lingua franca for trade, is a testament to the cultural synthesis that characterized the Indian Ocean trade. The architectural styles of the Swahili coast, with their distinctive coral stone buildings and intricate wooden carvings, reflect the diverse influences that shaped this vibrant culture. These ancient trade routes serve as a testament to Africa's interconnectedness with the world, highlighting its role as a vital player in the global arena. The continent's rich history of trade and cultural exchange has left an indelible mark on the world, influencing everything from art and architecture to language and religion. Africa's contributions to human civilization are vast and varied, and its story is an integral part of the broader narrative of world history. As we continue to explore and understand Africa's place in the world, it is important to recognize the resilience and creativity of its people. Despite the challenges and hardships they have faced, African societies have continually adapted and thrived, drawing on their rich cultural heritage and their connections to the wider world. By acknowledging and celebrating Africa's contributions to human history, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity and diversity of our shared global heritage.
The ancient Egyptians, with their towering pyramids and intricate hieroglyphics, left an indelible mark on human civilization. These monumental structures, built thousands of years ago, continue to captivate the imagination of people around the world. The pyramids, especially the Great Pyramid of Giza, are not just architectural marvels, but also a testament to the ingenuity and determination of the ancient Egyptians. They were built as tombs for the pharaohs, who were considered gods on earth and were meant to ensure their safe passage to the afterlife. The hieroglyphics, a complex system of writing using symbols and pictures, were used to record everything from religious texts to administrative documents. This writing system was so advanced that it took scholars centuries to fully decipher it. The Rosetta Stone, discovered in 1799, was key to unlocking the secrets of hieroglyphics. It contained the same text written in Greek, Demotic, and hieroglyphic script, allowing scholars to finally understand this ancient language. The ancient Egyptians were also pioneers in many fields of knowledge. Their advancements in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine continue to inspire awe and wonder. They developed a calendar based on the cycles of the moon and the sun, which was remarkably accurate and laid the foundation for the modern calendar we use today. They also made significant contributions to the field of medicine, with their knowledge of anatomy and surgical techniques being far ahead of their time. The Edwin Smith Papyrus, an ancient Egyptian medical text, contains detailed descriptions of surgical procedures and treatments for various ailments. This document is considered one of the oldest known medical texts and provides valuable insights into the medical practices of ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians' understanding of astronomy was also impressive. They built observatories to study the stars and planets, and their knowledge of celestial bodies was used to align their temples and pyramids with astronomical events. This deep understanding of the cosmos was not just for practical purposes, but also had a profound spiritual significance. The ancient Egyptians believed that the stars and planets were gods, and that their movements influenced events on Earth. This belief system was deeply intertwined with their religion and daily life, and it is reflected in their art, architecture, and literature. The legacy of the ancient Egyptians is not just limited to their monumental structures and advancements in knowledge. Their culture, art, and religion have also had a lasting impact on the world. The ancient Egyptians were masterful artists, and their sculptures, paintings, and jewelry are still admired for their beauty and craftsmanship. Their religious beliefs, centered around the worship of a pantheon of gods and goddesses, have also influenced other cultures and religions. The concept of the afterlife, which was central to ancient Egyptian religion, has parallels in many other belief systems. The ancient Egyptians' reverence for the dead and their elaborate burial practices have also left a lasting legacy. The discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun, with its wealth of treasures, provided a glimpse into the opulence and grandeur of ancient Egyptian burial customs. This discovery, made by Howard Carter in 1922, was one of the most significant archaeological finds of the 20th century and sparked a renewed interest in ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians' contributions to human civilization are vast and varied, and their legacy continues to be felt to this day. Their achievements in architecture, art, science, and religion have left an indelible mark on the world, and their influence can be seen in many aspects of modern life. From the towering pyramids to the intricate hieroglyphics, the ancient Egyptians have left a lasting legacy that continues to inspire and captivate people around the world. Their advancements in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine continue to inspire awe and wonder. The ancient Egyptians were not just builders of monumental structures. They were also pioneers in various fields of knowledge. Their understanding of mathematics was highly advanced, and they used it to solve complex problems related to construction, trade, and administration. They developed a system of numbers and mathematical operations that laid the foundation for modern mathematics. Their knowledge of geometry was particularly impressive, and it was used to design and construct their iconic pyramids and temples. The ancient Egyptians' contributions to astronomy were equally remarkable. They built observatories to study the stars and planets, and their knowledge of celestial bodies was used to align their temples and pyramids with astronomical events. This deep understanding of the cosmos was not just for practical purposes, but also had a profound spiritual significance. The ancient Egyptians believed that the stars and planets were gods and that their movements influenced events on Earth. This belief system was deeply intertwined with their religion and daily life, and it is reflected in their art, architecture, and literature. The ancient Egyptians were also pioneers in the field of medicine. They developed a comprehensive understanding of anatomy and surgical techniques, and their medical practices were far ahead of their time. The Edwin Smith Papyrus, an ancient Egyptian medical text, contains detailed descriptions of surgical procedures and treatments for various ailments. This document is considered one of the oldest known medical texts and provides valuable insights into the medical practices of ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians' knowledge of medicine was not just limited to surgical techniques. They also developed a wide range of herbal remedies and treatments for various diseases and ailments. Their medical practices were based on a combination of practical knowledge and spiritual beliefs, and they believed that health and illness were influenced by the gods. This holistic approach to medicine is still relevant today, and many of their remedies and treatments are still used in modern medicine. The ancient Egyptians' contributions to mathematics, astronomy, and medicine have had a lasting impact on the world. Their knowledge and understanding of these fields laid the foundation for many of the advancements that we take for granted today. Their legacy continues to inspire and captivate people around the world, and their achievements are a testament to the ingenuity and determination of the ancient Egyptians. Further south, the Great Zimbabwe ruins stand as a testament to the architectural prowess of the Shona people. These ancient stone structures built between the 11th and 15th centuries are some of the most impressive examples of African architecture. The Great Zimbabwe ruins are a UNESCO World Heritage Site and are considered one of the most important archaeological sites in Africa. The ruins consist of a series of stone walls, towers, and enclosures, all built without the use of mortar. The largest and most impressive structure is the Great Enclosure, which is surrounded by a massive stone wall that is over 11 meters high in some places. The Great Zimbabwe ruins are a testament to the skill and ingenuity of the Shona people, who are able to build these impressive structures using only simple tools and techniques. The ruins also provide valuable insights into the social, political, and economic organization of the Shona people. The Great Zimbabwe ruins were the center of a powerful and wealthy kingdom that controlled trade routes and resources in the region. The Shona people were skilled traders and craftsmen, and their wealth and power were reflected in the grandeur of their architecture. The Great Zimbabwe ruins are not just a testament to the architectural prowess of the Shona people, they are also a symbol of their cultural and historical heritage. The ruins are a source of pride for the people of Zimbabwe and are an important part of their national identity. The Great Zimbabwe ruins continue to inspire and captivate people around the world, and they are a reminder of the rich and diverse history of Africa. While the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela in Ethiopia showcase the artistry and devotion of its ancient inhabitants, these remarkable structures, carved out of solid rock in the 12th and 13th centuries, are some of the most impressive examples of Ethiopian architecture. The rock-hewn churches of Lalibela are a UNESCO World Heritage Site and are considered one of the most important religious and cultural sites in Africa. The churches were built by King Lalibela, who wanted to create a new Jerusalem in Ethiopia. The churches are connected by a series of tunnels and passageways, and each one is unique in its design and construction. The most famous of these churches is the Church of St. George, which is carved in the shape of a cross and is considered a masterpiece of Ethiopian architecture. The rock-hewn churches of Lalibela are not just impressive for their architectural and artistic qualities, they are also a testament to the deep religious devotion of the Ethiopian people. The churches are still used for worship today, and they are an important part of the religious and cultural life of the people of Lalibela. The rock-hewn churches of Lalibela continue to inspire and captivate people around the world, and they are a reminder of the rich and diverse history of Africa. From the nomadic cultures of the Sahel to the sophisticated city-states of the Swahili coast, Africa's diversity is a source of strength and resilience. The nomadic tribes of the Sahel, such as the Tuareg and the Fulani, have adapted to the harsh conditions of the desert and have developed unique cultures and ways of life. These nomadic tribes are known for their skills in animal husbandry and their ability to navigate the vast and arid landscapes of the Sahel. They have a deep connection to the land and have developed a rich cultural heritage that is reflected in their music, art, and traditions. The Swahili coast, on the other hand, is home to a series of sophisticated city-states that have a long history of trade and cultural exchange. The Swahili coast city-states, such as Kilwa, Mombasa, and Zanzibar, were important centers of trade and commerce, connecting Africa to the rest of the world. These city-states were known for their wealth and prosperity, and their architecture and culture reflect the influence of various cultures, including Arab, Persian, Indian, and European. The Swahili coast city-states were also centers of learning and scholarship, and they played a crucial role in the spread of Islam in East Africa. The diversity of Africa, from the nomadic cultures of the Sahel to the sophisticated city-states of the Swahili coast, is a source of strength and resilience. This diversity is reflected in the rich cultural heritage of the continent, which is a testament to the adaptability and ingenuity of its people. It is a testament to the adaptability and ingenuity of its people, who have learned to thrive in a multitude of environments and circumstances. From the arid deserts of the Sahara to the lush rainforests of the Congo Basin, the people of Africa have developed unique ways of life that are adapted to their specific environments. African farmers, for example, have developed innovative agricultural techniques to cope with the challenges of their diverse landscapes. In the arid regions of the Sahel, farmers practice techniques such as agroforestry and water harvesting to conserve water and improve soil fertility. In the fertile regions of the Great Rift Valley, farmers practice terracing and irrigation to maximize agricultural productivity. The people of Africa have also developed unique cultural practices and traditions that are adapted to their specific environments. In the rainforests of Central Africa, for example, the Pygmy people have developed a deep knowledge of the forest and its resources, and their way of life is closely connected to the natural environment. In the savannas of East Africa, the Maasai people have developed a pastoralist way of life that is adapted to the open grasslands and the seasonal availability of water and grazing land. The adaptability and ingenuity of the people of Africa are a testament to their resilience and resourcefulness. They have learned to thrive in a multitude of environments and circumstances, and their unique ways of life are a reflection of the rich and diverse cultural heritage of the continent. Africa's vastness encompasses a breathtaking array of landscapes, from the arid deserts of the Sahara to the lush rainforests of the Congo Basin. The Sahara Desert, the largest hot desert in the world, covers much of North Africa and is known for its extreme temperatures and vast sand dunes. Despite its harsh conditions, the Sahara is home to a variety of plant and animal species that have adapted to the desert environment. The desert is also home to nomadic tribes, such as the Tuareg, who have developed unique ways of life that are adapted to the harsh conditions of the desert. The Congo Basin, on the other hand, is home to one of the largest and most biodiverse rainforests in the world. The rainforest is home to a wide variety of plant and animal species, many of which are found nowhere else on Earth. The Congo Basin is also home to indigenous communities, such as the Pygmy people, who have developed a deep knowledge of the forest and its resources. The vastness and diversity of Africa's landscapes are a testament to the continent's natural beauty and ecological richness. From the arid deserts of the Sahara to the lush rainforests of the Congo Basin, Africa's landscapes are a source of wonder and inspiration. This geographical diversity is mirrored in its cultural landscape, a vibrant tapestry woven from the traditions, languages, and beliefs of its people. Africa is home to a rich and diverse cultural heritage with thousands of ethnic groups and languages. Each of these groups has its own unique traditions, customs, and beliefs, which are reflected in their music, dance, art, and literature. African cultural festivals, for example, are a vibrant celebration of the continent's rich cultural heritage. These festivals, which take place throughout the year, showcase the music, dance, and traditions of different ethnic groups. The traditional dances of Africa are particularly impressive, with their intricate movements and rhythms that tell stories and convey emotions. African marketplaces, on the other hand, are a bustling hub of activity, where people come together to buy and sell goods, socialize, and exchange ideas. These marketplaces are a reflection of the vibrant and dynamic culture of Africa, and they are an important part of the social and economic life of the continent. The rich and diverse cultural heritage of Africa is a testament to the creativity and resilience of its people. It is a vibrant tapestry woven from the traditions, languages, and beliefs of its people, and it is a source of pride and inspiration for the people of Africa and the world.
Section 5. Empires of Gold and Glory, Unveiling Africa's Majestic Past.
Long before the arrival of Europeans, Africa was a land of immense diversity and cultural richness. Its vast landscapes, from the Sahara Desert to the lush rainforests, were home to a myriad of societies, each with its own unique traditions, languages, and ways of life. These societies were not isolated. They engaged in trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchanges with one another, creating a vibrant tapestry of interconnected civilizations. Africa was home to a succession of powerful empires that rose and fell over the centuries. These empires, such as Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, were centers of wealth, knowledge, and power. They built impressive cities, developed advanced systems of governance, and fostered a rich cultural heritage that continues to influence the continent today. These empires rivaled any in the world in terms of their sophistication, wealth, and influence. They were not isolated from the rest of the world. Instead, they were active participants in global trade networks, exchanging goods, ideas, and technologies with other civilizations across Africa, Europe, and Asia.
These empires, built on trade, diplomacy, and military might, left behind a legacy of wealth, innovation, and cultural achievement. Their influence can be seen in the art, architecture, and traditions that have been passed down through generations. The stories of these empires are a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of the African people. The legacy of these empires is evident in the wealth of artifacts and innovations they left behind. From intricate gold jewelry to advanced agricultural techniques, these empires were at the forefront of technological and cultural advancements. Their achievements in fields such as astronomy, mathematics, and medicine were remarkable and continue to be studied and admired today.
The Ghana Empire, known as the Land of Gold, was one of the earliest and most powerful of these empires. It controlled the trans-Saharan trade routes, which were vital for the exchange of goods between North and West Africa. The empire's wealth was built on the trade of gold, salt, and other precious commodities, which were highly sought after by traders from across the continent and beyond. The trans-Saharan trade routes were the lifeblood of the Ghana Empire. Caravans of camels laden with goods would travel across the vast desert, connecting the empire to distant markets in North Africa and the Mediterranean. This trade brought immense wealth to the empire, allowing it to build impressive cities and support a thriving culture. The exchange of gold, salt, and other precious commodities was not just an economic activity, it was also a cultural exchange. Traders brought with them new ideas, technologies, and cultural practices, which were absorbed and adapted by the people of the Ghana Empire. This exchange of ideas helped to create a rich and diverse cultural landscape that was unique to the region.
The rulers of the Ghana Empire were renowned for their justice and wisdom. They presided over a golden age of prosperity and cultural flourishing, creating a stable and prosperous society that was admired by their contemporaries. Their leadership was characterized by a commitment to justice, fairness, and the well-being of their people. The golden age of the Ghana Empire was marked by a flourishing of culture and the arts. Markets were filled with goods from across the continent, and the streets were alive with the sounds of music, dance, and storytelling. This vibrant cultural scene was a testament to the creativity and resilience of the African people, who were able to create a rich and diverse cultural heritage despite the challenges they faced.
The Mali Empire, which rose to prominence in the 13th century, inherited Ghana's mantle of power and expanded its dominion across West Africa. The empire was known for its wealth, cultural achievements, and contributions to Islamic scholarship. Under the leadership of legendary rulers like Sundiata Keita and Mansa Musa, the Mali Empire became one of the most powerful and influential empires in African history. The expansion of the Mali Empire was marked by a series of military conquests and strategic alliances. The empire's leaders were skilled diplomats and military strategists who were able to expand their territory and influence through a combination of force and negotiation. This expansion allowed the Mali Empire to control key trade routes and access valuable resources, which contributed to its wealth and power.
Under the legendary rule of Mansa Musa, whose pilgrimage to Mecca showcased the empire's wealth and piety to the world, Mali became a center of Islamic learning and commerce. Mansa Musa's pilgrimage was a grand spectacle, with thousands of attendants and camels laden with gold. This journey not only demonstrated the wealth of the Mali Empire, but also helped to establish its reputation as a center of Islamic scholarship and culture. Mali became a center of Islamic learning and commerce, attracting scholars, traders, and artists from across the Islamic world. The city of Timbuktu, in particular, became a renowned center of learning, with its libraries and universities attracting students and scholars from far and wide. The intellectual and cultural achievements of the Mali Empire continue to be celebrated and studied to this day. Section 6. The Trans-Saharan Trade, a network of exchange and transformation. The trans-Saharan trade routes were not just pathways through the desert, they were arteries of civilization, pumping life into the heart of Africa and beyond. These routes facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures, creating a vibrant tapestry of human interaction that spanned centuries. The story of the trans-Saharan trade is one of resilience, ingenuity, and the relentless human spirit to connect and thrive despite the harshest of environments.
The Sahara Desert, often perceived as a barrier, served as a vital bridge connecting North Africa to the heart of the continent. This vast expanse of sand and rock, stretching over 9 million square kilometers, was more than just a formidable natural obstacle. It was a dynamic landscape that shaped the lives and destinies of countless people. The desert's oases provided crucial rest stops for caravans, where traders could replenish their supplies and exchange news and goods. These oases were bustling hubs of activity, where diverse cultures met and mingled, creating a unique blend of traditions and practices.
The trans-Saharan trade routes crisscrossing this seemingly desolate landscape became lifelines of commerce. These routes were meticulously mapped and maintained by generations of traders who passed down their knowledge through oral traditions. The routes connected major trading centers such as Timbuktu, Gao, and Agadez, facilitating the movement of goods across vast distances. The traders who traversed these routes were skilled navigators, able to read the stars in the shifting sands to find their way. They braved extreme temperatures, sandstorms, and the ever-present threat of bandits, driven by the promise of profit and the spirit of adventure. These trade routes were not just conduits for goods, they were channels for the exchange of culture and ideas. Marketplaces along the routes were vibrant centers of social interaction, where people from different backgrounds came together to trade, share stories, and learn from one another. Traditional dances and music echoed through these markets, reflecting the rich cultural heritage of the region. The exchange of ideas in these marketplaces led to the spread of new technologies, artistic styles, and religious beliefs, enriching the cultural tapestry of the societies involved.
Caravans laden with gold, salt, ivory, and enslaved people moved steadily across the desert, their progress marked by the rhythmic plodding of camels' hooves. These caravans were the lifeblood of the trans-Saharan trade, carrying precious commodities that were highly sought after in distant markets. Gold from the mines of West Africa was exchanged for salt from the Sahara, a vital resource for preserving food. Ivory, prized for its beauty and durability, was traded for textiles and other goods. Tragically, the trade in enslaved people was also a significant part of this network. with countless individuals being uprooted from their homes and sold into bondage. These caravans traversed routes that connected empires and kingdoms, creating a web of economic and political relationships that spanned the continent. The goods they carried were not just commodities. They were symbols of power and wealth. The rulers of the empires and kingdoms along these routes used the wealth generated by the trade to build magnificent cities, fund armies, and support the arts and sciences. The movement of goods along these routes also facilitated the exchange of ideas and technologies, contributing to the development of new agricultural techniques, architectural styles, and artistic traditions.
The wealth generated by this trade fueled the rise of powerful empires like Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. These empires became centers of economic and cultural significance, attracting scholars, artists, and traders from across the known world. The rulers of these empires used their wealth to build impressive cities with grand palaces, mosques, and universities. These cities became hubs of learning and culture, where knowledge was preserved and disseminated. The empires of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai were not just political entities, they were cultural beacons that illuminated the intellectual and artistic achievements of their time. The transformation of these empires into centers of economic and cultural significance was a testament to the power of trade. The bustling market towns along the trade routes were filled with merchants and artisans, creating a vibrant economy that supported a diverse range of cultural activities. Traditional cultural events such as festivals and ceremonies were held regularly, reflecting the rich heritage of the region. These events were opportunities for people to come together, celebrate their shared traditions, and reinforce their cultural identity. The wealth generated by the trade also supported the development of new artistic styles and techniques, leading to a flourishing of the arts.
The exchange of goods was accompanied by the diffusion of knowledge, religious beliefs, and artistic traditions. Marketplaces were not just places of commerce, they were centers of learning and cultural exchange. People from different backgrounds came together to trade, share ideas, and learn from one another. This exchange of knowledge led to the spread of new technologies, such as improved agricultural techniques and metalworking skills. Religious beliefs, particularly Islam, spread along the trade routes, leading to the establishment of mosques and the growth of Islamic communities. Artistic traditions such as music, dance, and visual arts were also exchanged, enriching the cultural tapestry of the region.
Islamic scholars and traders played a pivotal role in spreading Islam across West Africa, leading to the establishment of mosques, universities, and a vibrant intellectual tradition. These scholars were not just religious leaders, they were also educators, scientists, and philosophers who contributed to the intellectual life of the region. They established centers of learning where students could study a wide range of subjects, from theology and law to astronomy and medicine. The universities they founded, such as the famous University of Timbuktu, became renowned centers of scholarship, attracting students and scholars from across the Islamic world. The establishment of mosques and universities created a vibrant intellectual tradition that continues to influence the region to this day. The scholars who taught at these institutions preserved and expanded upon the knowledge of earlier civilizations, creating a rich intellectual heritage that was passed down through the generations. The manuscripts they produced, covering a wide range of subjects, are valuable sources of historical and scientific knowledge. The intellectual tradition that developed in West Africa as a result of the trans-Saharan trade is a testament to the power of knowledge and the enduring legacy of the scholars who dedicated their lives to the pursuit of learning. Section 7, Centers of Learning and Innovation. Africa's intellectual prowess. Africa, a continent often celebrated for its rich cultural heritage and natural beauty, is also a land of profound intellectual achievements. From ancient times to the modern era, Africa has been a cradle of knowledge, innovation, and scholarly pursuits. This chapter delves into the remarkable intellectual legacy of Africa, highlighting its centers of learning and the brilliant minds that have shaped its history.
Africa's intellectual contributions extend far beyond its ancient empires. Today, the continent is home to numerous universities, research institutions, and cultural centers that continue to foster innovation and creativity. Modern African universities are vibrant hubs of learning, where students and scholars engage in cutting-edge research and artistic endeavors. These institutions are not only preserving Africa's rich intellectual heritage, but also pushing the boundaries of knowledge in various fields.
Throughout its history, the continent has been home to renowned centers of learning that have produced scholars, scientists, and artists of exceptional caliber. These individuals have made significant contributions to various disciplines, including science, literature, art, and philosophy. African scholars have been at the forefront of groundbreaking discoveries and innovations, leaving an indelible mark on the global intellectual landscape.
The ancient Library of Alexandria in Egypt, a beacon of knowledge in the ancient world, housed a vast collection of scrolls and manuscripts, attracting scholars from far and wide. Established in the 3rd century BCE, the library was a center of learning and research, where scholars from different cultures and backgrounds came together to exchange ideas and knowledge. The library's collection included works on philosophy, science, mathematics, and literature, making it one of the most important intellectual institutions of its time.
Its destruction represented an immeasurable loss to human knowledge. The burning of the Library of Alexandria is often cited as one of the greatest tragedies in the history of learning. The loss of countless scrolls and manuscripts meant the disappearance of invaluable knowledge and insights that could have advanced human understanding in various fields. Despite this devastating event, the legacy of the Library of Alexandria continues to inspire scholars and researchers around the world.
In West Africa, the University of Timbuktu, established during the Mali Empire, became a renowned center of Islamic learning, attracting students and scholars from across the Muslim world. Founded in the 12th century, the university was part of a larger network of madrasas and libraries that made Timbuktu a thriving intellectual hub. Scholars at the University of Timbuktu studied a wide range of subjects, including theology, astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. The university's reputation for academic excellence drew students from as far away as North Africa and the Middle East.
Its libraries house thousands of manuscripts on subjects ranging from astronomy and mathematics to medicine and law. These manuscripts, many of which are still preserved today, provide a glimpse into the rich intellectual tradition of West Africa. The scholars of Timbuktu made significant contributions to various fields of knowledge, and their works continue to be studied and revered by academics and researchers. The legacy of the University of Timbuktu is a testament to the enduring intellectual prowess of Africa and its role in shaping the global history of learning and innovation. Section 8. The Arrival of Newcomers. Shifting Dynamics and Encounters. The arrival of Europeans on Africa's shores in the 15th century marked a turning point in the continent's history. This period was characterized by a series of encounters that would forever alter the social, economic, and political fabric of African societies. The Europeans, driven by a thirst for exploration and a desire for new trade routes, found themselves in a land rich with resources and diverse cultures. Their arrival was not just a moment of contact, but the beginning of a complex and often tumultuous relationship that would span centuries. Initially drawn by trade, the Portuguese established trading posts along the coast, seeking to tap into the lucrative gold and ivory trade. These trading posts became bustling hubs of activity, where goods, ideas, and cultures were exchanged. The Portuguese were not the only Europeans to arrive. Soon, other nations such as the Dutch, English, and French followed suit, each eager to stake their claim in this new world of opportunity. The coastal regions of Africa became a melting pot of different cultures and influences as European traders interacted with African merchants and local communities. However, the European presence gradually evolved from one of commerce to one of conquest and exploitation. The initial curiosity and mutual benefit of trade gave way to a more sinister agenda. European powers, driven by a desire for greater control and wealth, began to impose their will on African societies. This shift was marked by the establishment of colonial rule, where European nations carved up the continent, often with little regard for existing ethnic and cultural boundaries. The impact of this conquest was profound, leading to the subjugation and exploitation of African peoples and resources. The transatlantic slave trade, a dark chapter in human history, cast a long shadow over Africa, tearing millions from their homeland and decimating populations. This brutal system of human trafficking saw Africans forcibly taken from their homes, packed into ships under inhumane conditions, and sold into slavery in the Americas and other parts of the world. The slave trade not only caused immense suffering and loss of life, but also had lasting repercussions on African societies. Families were torn apart, communities were destroyed, and entire regions were depopulated. The slave trade had a profound impact on Africa's social, economic, and political landscape. Economically, it disrupted traditional industries and trade networks, leading to a reliance on the slave trade as a source of income for some African leaders and merchants. Socially, it caused a breakdown of community structures and relationships, as the constant threat of capture and enslavement created an atmosphere of fear and mistrust. Politically, it weakened African states, making them more vulnerable to European colonization and control. It fueled conflict, undermined traditional power structures, and led to the loss of generations of its most able-bodied men and women. The slave trade exacerbated existing rivalries and created new conflicts, as different groups vied for control of the lucrative trade. Traditional leaders who resisted the trade were often overthrown or marginalized, while those who participated gained temporary power and wealth at the expense of their people. The loss of so many young and able-bodied individuals had a devastating impact on African societies, reducing their capacity for growth and development. Despite these challenges, African societies demonstrated remarkable resilience and adaptability. Many communities found ways to preserve their cultural heritage and maintain their social structures in the face of external pressures. African artisans continued to produce intricate works of art, and traditional practices and beliefs were passed down through generations. The vibrant markets that once thrived on the coast adapted to new economic realities, and African merchants found ways to navigate the changing landscape of trade. African leaders and communities also engaged in diplomacy and resistance to protect their interests. Some leaders negotiated with European powers to secure favorable terms of trade or to protect their people from enslavement. Others organized resistance movements to fight against European encroachment and exploitation. These efforts, while often met with brutal repression, demonstrated the determination and agency of African peoples in the face of adversity. Today, the legacy of these encounters continues to shape the African continent. Modern African societies are a testament to the resilience and strength of their ancestors. The vibrant cultures, thriving cities, and dynamic leaders of contemporary Africa reflect a rich history of adaptation and survival. As we look to the future, it is important to remember and honor the complex history of shifting dynamics and encounters that have shaped Africa's past and continue to influence its present and future. Section 9, The Scramble for Africa, Colonialism and its Profound Impact. The term "scramble for Africa" refers to the period between 1881 and 1914, during which European powers rapidly divided and colonized the African continent. This era was marked by intense competition among European nations, each seeking to expand their empires and secure valuable resources. The Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885 played a crucial role in formalizing the partition of Africa, as European leaders negotiated and drew arbitrary borders without regard for existing ethnic, cultural, or political boundaries. The late 19th century witnessed a renewed wave of European interest in Africa, driven by industrialization, imperial ambitions, and the quest for raw materials. European nations, fueled by the Industrial Revolution, sought new markets for their manufactured goods and sources of raw materials to sustain their growing industries. Africa, with its vast natural resources, became a prime target for exploitation. European explorers, missionaries, and traders ventured into the continent, mapping uncharted territories and establishing trade routes. Their reports of abundant resources and potential wealth further fueled the colonial ambitions of European powers. The quest for raw materials such as rubber, gold, diamonds, and other minerals drove European colonization efforts. These resources were essential for the industrial economies of Europe, and their extraction often came at a great cost to the African people. Forced labor, exploitation, and harsh working conditions were common as European powers sought to maximize their profits. The extraction of these resources not only enriched European nations, but also had devastating effects on African societies, leading to the displacement of communities, environmental degradation, and the disruption of traditional ways of life. The scramble for Africa, as it became known, resulted in the rapid colonization of the continent, carving it up into European spheres of influence. The Berlin Conference, attended by representatives from major European powers, formalized the division of Africa, with little regard for the existing political and social structures of African societies. European nations established colonies, protectorates, and spheres of influence, imposing their control over vast territories. The arbitrary borders drawn during this period continue to shape the political landscape of Africa to this day, often contributing to conflicts and tensions. Carving it up into European spheres of influence, the colonization process was marked by violence, coercion, and resistance. African societies resisted European encroachment, leading to numerous conflicts and uprisings. However, the superior military technology and organization of European powers often overwhelmed African resistance. The imposition of colonial rule brought about significant changes in African societies, including the introduction of new administrative systems, legal codes, and economic policies. These changes were often designed to benefit the colonial powers at the expense of the local population. By the early 20th century, only Ethiopia and Liberia remained independent. Ethiopia successfully resisted Italian colonization at the Battle of Adwa in 1896, becoming a symbol of African resistance and resilience. Liberia, founded by freed American slaves, maintained its independence through diplomatic efforts and strategic alliances. The survival of these two nations as independent entities amidst the wave of colonization highlights the complex and varied responses of African societies to European imperialism. Colonialism had a profound and lasting impact on Africa, shaping its political boundaries, economic systems, and social structures. The arbitrary borders drawn by European powers often grouped together diverse ethnic and cultural groups, leading to tensions and conflicts that persist to this day. The introduction of cash crop economies and the exploitation of natural resources disrupted traditional economic systems and made African economies dependent on global markets. Colonial rule also brought about significant social changes, including the spread of Christianity, Western education, and new social hierarchies. Colonial powers exploited Africa's resources, extracting raw materials to fuel their industrial growth while suppressing local industries. The extraction of resources such as rubber, gold, and diamonds often involved forced labor and harsh working conditions. Local industries and crafts were undermined as European goods flooded African markets. The economic policies of colonial powers were designed to benefit the metropole, leading to the underdevelopment of African economies. The legacy of this exploitation continues to affect African nations, contributing to economic challenges and inequalities. While suppressing local industries, they imposed their own systems of governance, often based on racial hierarchies and disrupted traditional power structures. Colonial administrations were typically characterized by centralized authority, with European officials holding the highest positions of power. Indigenous leaders were often co-opted or marginalized, leading to the erosion of traditional political systems. The imposition of foreign legal codes and administrative practices further disrupted local governance structures. The legacy of colonial governance continues to influence political systems in many African countries, contributing to challenges in state building and governance, and disrupted traditional power structures. The impact of colonialism on African societies was profound and multifaceted, affecting every aspect of life. The introduction of new religions, languages, and cultural practices led to significant changes in social and cultural identities. The disruption of traditional power structures and the imposition of foreign rule created lasting legacies of inequality and division. Despite the end of colonial rule, the effects of this period continue to shape the political, economic, and social landscapes of African nations. Understanding the history of colonialism is essential for addressing its enduring impacts and working towards a more just and equitable future. Section 10. Resistance and Resilience. The Fight for Freedom and Self-Determination. The story of Africa's struggle against colonialism is one of immense courage, resilience, and an unyielding desire for freedom. It is a tale that spans centuries, marked by countless acts of bravery and defiance against foreign domination. The fight for self-determination was not just a political struggle, it was a battle for the very soul and identity of the African people. This chapter delves into the heart of this resistance, exploring the various forms it took and the indomitable spirit that fueled it. Despite the oppressive realities of colonialism, Africans never ceased to resist foreign domination. From the moment European powers set foot on African soil, they were met with resistance. This resistance was not a singular event but a continuous struggle that evolved over time. It manifested in various forms, from armed uprisings to peaceful protests, from covert sabotage to open defiance. Each act of resistance, no matter how small, was a testament to the unbreakable spirit of the African people.
From armed uprisings to acts of civil disobedience, they challenged the legitimacy of colonial rule. The methods of resistance were as diverse as the people who employed them. In some regions, resistance took the form of guerrilla warfare, with freedom fighters taking to the forests and mountains to wage a relentless war against colonial forces. In other areas, it was the power of the pen and the spoken word that fueled the struggle, with intellectuals and activists using their voices to rally the masses and expose the injustices of colonialism, and fought tirelessly for their freedom and self-determination. The sacrifices made by these freedom fighters were immense. Many paid the ultimate price, laying down their lives for the cause of freedom. Others endured imprisonment, torture, and exile. Yet despite the immense challenges and the often overwhelming odds, they remained steadfast in their commitment to the struggle. Their courage and determination inspired countless others to join the fight, creating a ripple effect that spread across the continent. Leaders like Samori Toure in West Africa, Menelik II of Ethiopia, and Shaka Zulu in southern Africa emerged as symbols of resistance, rallying their people against colonial encroachment. These leaders were not just military strategists, they were visionaries who understood the importance of unity and solidarity in the face of a common enemy. They inspired their people to rise up and fight for their land, their culture, and their way of life. Their legacies continue to be celebrated today, serving as a reminder of the power of resistance and the enduring spirit of the African people. And Shaka Zulu in southern Africa emerged as symbols of resistance, rallying their people against colonial encroachment. These leaders were not just military strategists, they were visionaries who understood the importance of unity and solidarity in the face of a common enemy. They inspired their people to rise up and fight for their land, their culture, and their way of life. Their legacies continue to be celebrated today, serving as a reminder of the power of resistance and the enduring spirit of the African people.
Their struggles, though ultimately unsuccessful in preventing colonization, inspired future generations and left an enduring legacy of resistance. The stories of these early resistance movements became the foundation upon which later struggles for independence were built. They provided a blueprint for future generations, showing that resistance was not only possible, but necessary. The lessons learned from these early struggles were invaluable, teaching future leaders the importance of strategy, unity, and perseverance.
The struggle for independence gained momentum in the aftermath of World War II, as the global balance of power shifted. The war had weakened many of the colonial powers, making it increasingly difficult for them to maintain their grip on their colonies. At the same time, the principles of self-determination and human rights, which had been championed during the war, began to resonate more strongly with people around the world. This created a fertile ground for the growth of nationalist movements across Africa, and the legitimacy of colonialism was increasingly questioned. The post-war period saw a surge in anti-colonial sentiment, both within Africa and internationally. Intellectuals, activists, and ordinary citizens began to question the moral and ethical basis of colonialism, arguing that it was fundamentally incompatible with the principles of freedom and equality. This growing awareness and opposition to colonialism created a powerful momentum for change, leading to a wave of decolonization movements across the continent. Across the continent, nationalist movements emerged, demanding an end to foreign rule and the right to self-determination. These movements were characterized by a diverse array of strategies and tactics, from peaceful protests and strikes to armed resistance and guerrilla warfare. Leaders like Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana, Jomo Kenyatta in Kenya, and Patrice Lumumba in the Congo became the faces of these movements, inspiring millions with their vision of a free and independent Africa. Their efforts culminated in a wave of independence declarations, as one by one, African nations threw off the yoke of colonial rule and embarked on the path to self-determination.
Section 11, The Echoes of Colonialism, Navigating the Path to Independence. The journey towards independence for many African nations was a complex and multifaceted process. It was not merely a political transition but a profound social and cultural upheaval. The echoes of colonialism reverberated through every aspect of life, influencing the paths these nations would take. The struggle for independence was marked by a series of significant events, each contributing to the eventual liberation of these countries. From the early resistance movements to the final negotiations, every step was fraught with challenges and triumphs. The leaders of these movements were often visionaries who saw beyond the immediate goal of political freedom. They envisioned a future where their nations could thrive independently, free from the shackles of colonial rule. These leaders played a crucial role in mobilizing the masses, fostering a sense of national identity, and negotiating with colonial powers. Their efforts were instrumental in shaping the course of history and paving the way for future generations. The road to independence was often fraught with challenges. The colonial powers, having established their dominance over the African continent, were reluctant to relinquish control. They had invested heavily in the infrastructure and economies of these territories, and the prospect of losing their grip was not something they were willing to entertain lightly. This reluctance often manifested in various forms of resistance, from political maneuvering to outright military intervention. The African leaders and their followers had to navigate a complex web of political, social, and economic obstacles to achieve their goal. Peaceful protests were a common strategy, as they allowed the people to express their desire for independence without resorting to violence. These protests were often met with harsh responses from the colonial authorities, who sought to maintain order and suppress any dissent. Despite the challenges, the spirit of the people remained unbroken. They continued to push for their rights, drawing inspiration from successful independence movements in other parts of the world. Colonial powers were reluctant to relinquish control. They had established a system that benefited them economically and politically, and the idea of losing this control was not something they were willing to accept easily. The presence of colonial military forces was a constant reminder of the power dynamics at play. These forces were often deployed to quell uprisings and maintain order, but their presence also served to galvanize the independence movements. The sight of foreign soldiers patrolling their streets was a stark reminder of the oppression they were fighting against. Diplomatic meetings were another arena where the struggle for independence played out. African leaders had to engage in complex negotiations with their colonial counterparts, often having to make significant concessions to achieve their goals. These negotiations were a delicate balancing act, as the leaders had to ensure that they did not compromise the future of their nations while trying to secure their freedom, and in some cases independence was achieved only after protracted struggles and negotiations. The process was often long and arduous, with many setbacks along the way. The colonial powers were not willing to give up their territories without a fight, and the African leaders had to be persistent and resilient in their efforts. The negotiations were often tense and fraught with difficulties, as both sides had their own interests to protect. The African leaders had to navigate these negotiations carefully, ensuring that they did not compromise the future of their nations while trying to secure their freedom. The struggles were not just political, but also social and economic. The people had to endure hardships and sacrifices, but their determination and resilience kept the movement alive. The eventual success of these movements was a testament to the strength and spirit of the African people. The legacy of colonialism continued to cast a long shadow over the newly independent nations. The political and economic systems established during the colonial era were not easily dismantled, and the new leaders had to contend with the remnants of these systems. The colonial powers had left behind a legacy of exploitation and inequality, and the new leaders had to find ways to address these issues while building their nations. The speeches of African leaders during this period often reflected the challenges they faced. They spoke of the need for unity and cooperation, of the importance of economic development, and of the need to address the social and economic inequalities inherited from the colonial era. These speeches were a source of inspiration for the people, who looked to their leaders for guidance and support. Political boundaries drawn during the colonial era often ignored ethnic and cultural realities. The colonial powers had drawn these boundaries with little regard for the existing social and cultural structures, leading to tensions and conflicts. The new leaders had to navigate these complex dynamics, finding ways to promote unity and cooperation among diverse communities. The maps of the colonial era were a stark reminder of the arbitrary nature of these boundaries. They often divided communities and created tensions that would take years to resolve. The new leaders had to find ways to address these issues, promoting a sense of national identity and unity while respecting the diversity of their populations, leading to tensions and conflicts. The new leaders had to find ways to address these issues, promoting a sense of national identity and unity while respecting the diversity of their populations. This was not an easy task, as the tensions and conflicts often ran deep. The leaders had to find ways to promote dialogue and cooperation, fostering a sense of shared purpose and common goals. The ethnic community gatherings were a testament to the resilience and strength of the people. They came together to celebrate their cultures and traditions, finding ways to coexist and cooperate despite their differences. These gatherings were a source of inspiration and hope, showing that it was possible to build a united and prosperous nation despite the challenges. Economic systems remained heavily reliant on the export of raw materials. The colonial powers had established economies that were heavily dependent on the extraction and export of raw materials, and this legacy continued to shape the economies of the newly independent nations. The new leaders had to find ways to diversify their economies, promoting industrialization and economic development. This was not an easy task, as the global economic system was still heavily skewed in favor of the former colonial powers. The workers in the mines and plantations were a stark reminder of the exploitation and inequality that had characterized the colonial era. The new leaders had to find ways to address these issues, promoting fair labor practices and economic justice, perpetuating a cycle of dependency. The new leaders had to find ways to break this cycle, promoting economic independence and self-sufficiency. This was not an easy task, as the global economic system was still heavily skewed in favor of the former colonial powers. The farmers working on the fields and the workers loading goods onto ships were a stark reminder of the challenges they faced. The new leaders had to find ways to promote economic development and diversification, ensuring that their nations could thrive independently. This required significant investments in education, infrastructure, and technology, as well as the promotion of fair trade practices and economic justice. Despite these challenges, African nations embarked on the arduous task of nation building. The new leaders had to find ways to promote unity and cooperation, fostering a sense of national identity and shared purpose. This was not an easy task, as the legacy of colonialism continued to cast a long shadow over their efforts. The people participated in nation-building activities, finding ways to contribute to the development of their nations. The raising of African flags was a powerful symbol of their independence and sovereignty, a reminder of the struggles they had endured and the victories they had achieved. The new leaders had to find ways to build on this momentum, promoting economic development and social justice, striving to create a better future for their people. The new leaders had to find ways to promote education and social development, ensuring that their nations could thrive independently. The children in school were a symbol of hope and potential, a reminder of the importance of investing in the future. The community development projects were a testament to the resilience and strength of the people, showing that it was possible to build a prosperous and united nation despite the challenges. The happy families were a reminder of the importance of social and economic justice, showing that it was possible to create a better future for all. They faced the daunting task of forging national unity, promoting economic development. The new leaders had to find ways to promote unity and cooperation, fostering a sense of national identity and shared purpose. This was not an easy task, as the legacy of colonialism continued to cast a long shadow over their efforts. The people participated in nation-building activities, finding ways to contribute to the development of their nations. The raising of African flags was a powerful symbol of their independence and sovereignty, a reminder of the struggles they had endured and the victories they had achieved. The new leaders had to find ways to build on this momentum, promoting economic development and social justice, and addressing the social and economic inequalities inherited from the colonial era. The new leaders had to find ways to promote economic development and social justice, ensuring that their nations could thrive independently. The archival footage of colonial-era economic activity was a stark reminder of the exploitation and inequality that had characterized the colonial era. The modern African cities with contrasting wealth were a testament to the challenges they faced, showing that it was possible to build a prosperous and united nation despite the challenges. The new leaders had to find ways to promote economic development and social justice, ensuring that their nations could thrive independently. This required significant investments in education, infrastructure, and technology, as well as the promotion of fair trade practices and economic justice. Section 12. The Promise and Peril of Modernity Africa in the 20th Century. The 20th century was a period of profound transformation for Africa. This era was marked by significant political, social, and economic changes that reshaped the continent in ways that continue to influence its trajectory today. From the early years of colonial rule to the wave of independence movements that swept across the continent, Africa's journey through the 20th century was both tumultuous and inspiring. The 20th century was a period of profound transformation for Africa. The continent witnessed the rise and fall of dictatorships, the Cold War's ideological battles playing out on its soil, and the challenges of economic development in a rapidly globalizing world. The early part of the century saw the consolidation of colonial rule, with European powers carving up the continent and imposing their systems of governance, often with little regard for existing social and political structures. This period of colonial domination had a profound impact on African societies, economies, and cultures, setting the stage for the struggles and triumphs that would follow. The continent witnessed the rise and fall of dictatorships, as newly independent nations grappled with the challenges of self-governance. In many cases, the euphoria of independence was quickly tempered by the realities of political instability, economic hardship, and social unrest. Leaders who had once been hailed as liberators often became authoritarian rulers, clinging to power through repression and corruption. Yet, even in the darkest times, there were always voices of resistance, individuals and movements that fought for freedom, justice, and democracy. The Cold War's ideological battles playing out on its soil, as the superpowers of the United States and the Soviet Union vied for influence in Africa. This global struggle often exacerbated existing conflicts and created new ones, as African nations were drawn into the orbit of one superpower or the other. The Cold War also brought significant military and economic aid to the continent, but this support was often tied to strategic interests rather than genuine development goals. The legacy of this period is still felt today, as many African countries continue to deal with the consequences of Cold War-era interventions and alliances, and the challenges of economic development in a rapidly globalizing world. The latter part of the 20th century saw Africa increasingly integrated into the global economy, with both positive and negative consequences. On the one hand, globalization brought new opportunities for trade, investment, and technological innovation. On the other hand, it also exposed African economies to the vagaries of global markets, often leading to economic volatility and inequality. The structural adjustment programs imposed by international financial institutions in the 1980s and 1990s, for example, had a profound impact on African economies, leading to widespread social and economic dislocation.
Some countries experienced periods of economic growth and relative stability as they successfully navigated the challenges of globalization and implemented effective development policies. Countries like Botswana and Mauritius, for example, achieved impressive economic growth rates and made significant strides in improving living standards for their populations. These success stories demonstrate that, with the right policies and leadership, it is possible for African countries to achieve sustainable development and prosperity, while others grappled with poverty, conflict, and political instability. In many parts of the continent, the legacies of colonialism, Cold War interventions, and economic mismanagement have created a complex web of challenges that continue to hinder development. Countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo and Somalia, for example, have been plagued by chronic instability, violence, and poverty. These challenges are often compounded by weak institutions, corruption, and a lack of effective governance, making it difficult for these countries to break out of the cycle of conflict and underdevelopment. The HIV/AIDS epidemic ravaged many parts of the continent, claiming millions of lives and hindering development. The epidemic had a devastating impact on African societies, particularly in southern and eastern Africa, where infection rates were highest. The loss of so many lives, particularly among young adults, had profound social and economic consequences, as families were torn apart, communities were weakened, and economies were strained. However, the response to the epidemic also demonstrated the resilience and resourcefulness of African societies, as governments, civil society organizations, and communities mobilized to combat the disease and support those affected.
Despite these challenges, Africa continued to demonstrate its resilience and capacity for innovation. Across the continent, individuals and communities have found creative solutions to the problems they face, drawing on their rich cultural traditions and adapting to changing circumstances. From small-scale farmers using innovative agricultural techniques to improve their yields, to entrepreneurs harnessing new technologies to create jobs and drive economic growth, Africa is a continent of innovation and potential. New generations of leaders emerged, committed to democratic governance, economic development, and social justice. These leaders, often coming from civil society backgrounds, have brought new energy and ideas to the political landscape, challenging the old guard and pushing for reforms. They have also been supported by a growing number of young people who are increasingly engaged in politics and determined to shape the future of their countries. This new wave of leadership is a source of hope for the continent, as it seeks to overcome the challenges of the past and build a brighter future. The continent witnessed a burgeoning civil society with activists, artists, and intellectuals raising their voices to demand change and hold their leaders accountable. This vibrant civil society has played a crucial role in promoting democracy, human rights, and social justice, often at great personal risk. From the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa to the pro-democracy protests in Sudan, civil society organizations have been at the forefront of the struggle for a better Africa. They have also contributed to the rich cultural and intellectual life of the continent, producing art, literature, and scholarship that reflect the diversity and dynamism of African societies. Section 13. From Cairo to Cape Town, a continent of contrasts and complexities. As we enter the 21st century, Africa stands at a crossroads, grappling with the legacies of its past while striving to shape a brighter future.
It is a continent of striking contrasts, where ancient traditions coexist alongside modern technology, where bustling megacities rise amidst vast savannas. Africa is a continent of immense diversity and complexity, defying easy categorization or simplistic narratives.
Its story is not one of despair or hopelessness, but rather one of resilience, creativity, and enduring hope. It is a story of a continent on the rise, determined to overcome its challenges and fulfill its potential. Section 14. Charting a new course. The quest for unity and progress. Across the continent, there is a growing recognition of the need for African solutions to African problems. Regional organizations like the African Union are playing an increasingly important role in promoting peace, security, and economic integration.
There is a renewed focus on good governance, transparency, and accountability. Civil society organizations are playing a vital role in holding leaders accountable and advocating for social justice. Young people, empowered by education and technology, are becoming agents of change, demanding a more equitable and just future.
Section 15. Embracing the future. Africa's enduring spirit and potential. Africa's journey is far from over. It is a journey of resilience, transformation, and enduring hope. The continent faces significant challenges, but it also possesses immense potential. Its youthful population, abundant natural resources, and entrepreneurial spirit provide grounds for optimism. By embracing innovation, investing in its people, and promoting good governance, Africa can overcome its challenges and create a more equitable and prosperous future for all its citizens. The world is watching, eager to witness the unfolding of Africa's next chapter, a chapter filled with promise, possibility, and the enduring spirit of a continent on the rise.